In Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that persons who are trying to elevate the conditioned souls, sorry, elevate the condition of the fallen souls by preaching the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, namely full surrender unto the personality of Godhead, are very dear to him. Thus, when the Lord saw that his beloved mother was very compassionate towards the fallen souls, he was pleased and he also became compassionate towards her. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta Patra. Om Ajnanatirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshakarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Sri Maitreya said, O best amongst the Kurus, the great sage Kapila, moved by great compassion and pleased by the words of his glorious mother, spoke as follows. So, Maitreya Rishi is talking, indicating that what pleased Lord Kapila. The inquiries from Lord Kapila's mother, Devahuti, were all in themselves great, glorious. And like we hear in the beginning of Bhagavatam, the questions asked by the sages, they're all for the benefit of the people. Same way, Shukdev Goswami is telling to Parikshit Maharaj also, with your questions, Varyam Eshite Prashna. Lok Kritam Hitam Kritam Nirvam. O king, your questions are meant for not just for your benefit, but for the welfare of the whole mankind. Lok Kritam. For the masses in general, for people in general. Exactly same way we see in Bhagavad Gita also. Arjuna's inquiry is not just meant for his own benefit. Prabhupada very nicely, very pinpointedly Prabhupada explains. So Prabhupada explains that Arjuna is asking question. Arjuna is already assured that he is convinced fully that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Still he is asking further questions from Krishna. Why is he asking? He need not know or understand or learn anything more. In 10th chapter, Arjuna is already said to Krishna, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan, Purusham Shashvatam Divyam, Adidevam, Ajam Vibhum. So already Arjuna has declared that Arjuna said, you are the Supreme Brahman, the ultimate, the Supreme Abode and Purifier, the Absolute Truth and the Eternal Divine Person. You are the primal God, transcendental and original. And you are the unborn and all-pervading beauty. Ajam Vibhum. Vibhum means all-pervading beauty. So, and further, all the great sages such as Narad, Asita, Deval and Vyasa proclaim this of you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me. So Arjuna is very much thoroughly convinced. He has a conviction that yes, Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he has already understood the relationship between himself and the Lord. So there is nothing more to be said or nothing more to be asked for. Still he asks further. Very nicely, Tell me again in detail, O Janardana, of your mighty potencies and glories. Okay, for I never tire of hearing your ambrosial words. And again, how should I meditate on you? In what various forms are you to be contemplated, O blessed Lord? So Srila Prabhupada explains the intent of Arjuna. With what intention he is asking this question. Now Arjuna is convinced that his friend Krishna is the supreme Godhead, but he wants to know the general process by which all pervading Lord can be understood by the common man. No common man, including the demons and atheists, can know Krishna because he is guarded by his Yogamaya energy. So, out of his mercy, because he is a Vaishnava, a devotee, Arjuna is opening the understanding for the common man as far as the all pervasiveness of the Supreme is concerned. So, the whole point is that devotees are not just selfish. Very nicely Prabhupada explains that yogis, they go to Himalaya, they go to secluded place to practice meditation and realize the Supreme Personality of God, Supreme Lord. Right? Dhyan yogis, they go to forests, holy places, or the mountains, or so many places like that. So they go for realizing the Paramatma within the heart, but they just are concerned or worried about their own personal realization, personal benefit, personal approach, personal liberation. But devotees are not like that. Devotees, they stay here amongst the people and they realize the Lord and they want others also to realize. Paradukha dukhi, they see. And very nicely in 6th chapter, this is explained. Lord is explaining to Arjuna. He is a perfect yogi who by compassion to his own self sees true equality of all beings both in their happiness and distress, O Arjuna. So who is a perfect yogi? The definition of perfect yogi or one of the characteristics of perfect yogi is given here. By comparison to his own self sees true equality of all beings both in their happiness and distress, O Arjuna. Now, in the purport, how this is explained? What is that true equality both in happiness and distress? One who is Krishna conscious is a perfect yogi. He is aware of everyone's happiness and distress by dint of his own personal experience. He knows I was unhappy and I was happy in what circumstances. Same circumstances apply to everybody. Sometimes somebody will come right to a senior devotee and he'll say, I have this problem, that problem, and he'll be advised to chant nicely, read nicely. Right? I also went through so much trouble. No, Prabhu, you don't understand my problem. My problem is different. Actually, nobody's problem is different. There is only one problem. What is that problem? Forgetfulness of Krishna. Now you see how Prabhupada explains. The cause of the distress of a living entity is forgetfulness of his relationship with God. That's all. In one sentence, Prabhupada summarizes all varieties of perplexities are due to forgetfulness of his relationship with the Supreme Lord. And the cause of happiness is knowing Krishna to be the supreme enjoyer of all activities of the human being. So distress comes. Why distress comes? Because we are forgetful of the fact that Krishna is the enjoyer, we are not the enjoyers. Right? We are not meant to enjoy. We are meant to be enjoyed. So the moment we enter into the mood of enjoyer, correct? We assume that I am enjoyer and I should be enjoying. I am not getting my due enjoyment. That is when stress, distress, anxiety, worry, all these things come. This is a very nice quote of Prabhupada. Prabhupada says anxiety means sense gratification. Anxiety means sense gratification. A devotee is yadyacha labha santushto. He is satisfied with whatever comes. Then why somebody is anxious? Because he is trying to enjoy. So there may be varieties of enjoyment. Prabhu, my sense gratification is different from yours. So I am not getting my variety of sense gratification. That's why I am worried. That's why I am perplexed. But nevertheless, everybody who is perplexed is due to sense gratification. That is forgetfulness of his relationship with Krishna. The moment he understands his relationship with Krishna, then he becomes peaceful. So, happiness and the cause of happiness is knowing Krishna to be the supreme enjoyer of all activities of the human being. Krishna is the proprietor of all lands and planets. The perfect yogi is the sincerest friend of all living entities. He knows that the living being who is conditioned by the modes of material nature is subjected to the threefold material miseries due to forgetfulness of his relationship with Krishna. Because one in Krishna consciousness is happy, he tries to distribute the knowledge of Krishna everywhere. Since the perfect yogi tries to broadcast the importance of becoming Krishna conscious, he is the best philanthropist in the world and he is the dearest servitor of the Lord. Now, Prabhupada says, Na tasmat kaschit me priyapratamaha. In other words, a devotee of the Lord always looks to the welfare of all living entities, and in this way he is actually the friend of everyone. He is the best yogi. Because he does not desire perfection in yoga for his personal benefit, but tries for others also. So, and he does not envy his fellow living entities. So, here is a contrast between a pure devotee of the Lord and a yogi interested only in his personal elevation. Exactly this is what we are seeing in today's verse, where as soon as Mother Devahuti is inquiring, right, her mood behind the inquiry is that not just her own salvation, but also spiritual well-being or liberation of all other living entities. And this attitude of Mother Devahuti pleases the Lord. Right? Exactly this is what the Lord is saying in Bhagavad Gita also, and Prabhupada quotes here that namely full surrender unto Supreme Personality of Godhead, one who preaches, right? The fallen souls elevate the condition of fallen souls by preaching the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, namely full surrender unto the Personality of Godhead, are very dear to him. So, a devotee is always in the mood not just of his own benefit, his own welfare, but also for the welfare of others. But there is some big red alert, red caution, very grave caution. What is that? We do welfare of others actually thinking that I am elevating them, or I am the cause, or I am the instrument. Actually, welfare is done by Paramatma, by Guru. We are just instruments, and when we get attached to, oh, if I don't preach, how will others get liberated? Janma sarthak kari par kar upkar. For us, preaching is our purification. Okay? It is our assigned service to go and preach. It is our assigned service to convey the message of Krishna, convey the message of Guru to other living entities. That's all is our role. In that, one should do it earnestly, very diligently, very smartly, to the best of his understanding, to the best of his capacity. One should preach. Getting attached to result, right, or getting attached to the person who is getting preached, right? This is a trap. This is a danger. Like Arjuna, he is fighting the war. He is assigned the service of killing the enemy. So Arjuna is thinking. He is assessing the enemy. He is assessing the enemy, and then he is thinking, which astra will be applicable for him? Right? So then he, invokes a weapon, Shakti Astra, Pashupata Astra, Divya Astra, whatever he has got, Brahmastra. He invokes that weapon, assessing the strength of the enemy. Then he aims it nicely. He stretches his bow very well, and depending on Krishna, he shoots. Enemy doesn't die. Like there are instances where Arjuna has shot arrows, but the enemy has not died, and sometimes enemy dies. So, what is role of Arjuna and what is the role of Krishna in that? Arjuna's role is to apply whatever best he has learned with full dependence on Lord, aim at the enemy and shoot the arrow. Right? Dies or doesn't die is not Arjuna's worry. That is Krishna's concern. He is dying or not dying. Exactly same way when we preach, we put in our best effort, whatever best we have learned, how understanding the mood of the person, understanding his capability to grasp the things, understanding his favorable, unfavorable nature towards what we are talking, with all this assessment which comes by experience, which comes by learning, then we put in our best words, best tactics, strategy, or whatever we can to convince him. After that, he is not convinced. That is Krishna's wish. Paramatma, the same Paramatma within my heart is making me speak these words. The same Paramatma within his heart is making him receive those words. Right? If Paramatma wants, he can transform his heart. If Paramatma doesn't want, he will not make him transform his heart. So this understanding has to be there. The moment we get attached to result, then distress comes. Why he is not accepting? Why he is not doing? Right? Why we have to worry? He is Krishna's child, not our child. We have not adopted him. Right? Before we met him, Krishna was maintaining him. Before we met our preachers, folk preachers, or who were our spiritual guides, before we met them, Krishna was faring our journey. Paramatma in the heart was taking us through a journey. When the right time came, we met the right person and the right transformation, right journey started. So in the same way, right, for others also, Paramatma is there, he is sitting in the heart. Right? He knows when it is, when his right time comes, when he'll get transformed. From our side, our part is, we try sincerely praying to Guru, praying to Krishna, that best words should come out of my mouth. My best behavior, best conduct should be presented there, so that, because Prabhupada says, if by your preaching somebody goes away, or goes away from the movement, it's a great disservice to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we have to be so careful. We have to be so cautious in what we are speaking, how we are speaking. Then only we'll be able to do good. And even if I praised him so much, half an hour I praised him, but he's still talking about Mayavada. Doesn't matter. He has heard words, Prabhupada's words coming from our mouth. There's a letter where Prabhupada says, when a disciple speaks, right, the Guru sitting within his heart speaks through him. Right? In a letter, Prabhupada says this. So, spiritual master sitting in his heart speaks through him. So, I speak to my disciples. Prabhupada says like that. But then we should recall, if you see so many Prabhupada's conversations, Prabhupada has met so many people. Right? His Vishwaguru. Vishwaguru means the entire universe. And Chaitanya Charitamrita, if we read the power of Vaishnava, pure devotee, he can deliver the entire universe. But still, when Prabhupada was preaching, there were many who were not ready to accept. Reluctant, totally reluctant. They're putting in their own points. The Cardinal Danilo is a very classic example of that. I mean, if you hear that live conversation, if you watch that video, you'll see he's a cardinal, he's a great spiritual leader, in the Christianity, in that community. But he's so dull-brained actually. And so non-receptive. Still, Prabhupada glanced at him, he got darshan of Prabhupada, he heard transcendental Vani coming from Prabhupada's mouth, some benefit. And that's all was in his account, in his quota. So Prabhupada gave him that much mercy. He got to see, when he saw Prabhupada, he also saw the lotus feet of Prabhupada. He got charan darshan of Prabhupada. He got the darshan of a pure Vaishnava. That's all. Correct? So we should understand, Lord Krishna went to Dhritarashtra Sabha. But Lord Krishna went to Dhritarashtra Sabha, he could not convince them. It's not that Lord cannot. It's up to the living entity's destiny and Lord and free will also. So same way when we preach, when we try to do benefit to others, like we are saying here, Arjuna is also concerned about others. So devotee is naturally concerned, naturally compassionate towards others. But it should not come at the cost of our bhakti, our devotional service. If it's coming at the cost of our devotional service, then we are into sense gratification. We are attached to that preaching, we are not attached to the service assigned by Guru. There is a difference between both. The service assigned by Guru has a framework. Right? And service assigned by Guru will never take you into Maya. Service assigned by Guru will never pull you into Maya, will never pull you away from the devotional principles. If we are getting pulled away from the devotional principles, that means we are overdoing things which are outside the scope of the devotional service or the authorized service. We are overdoing things, and when we are overdoing things, we should understand I am crossing the boundary set. That means I am into now my personal zone, personal endeavor, personal effort. which is Maya. Right? So, in 17th chapter, very interestingly, Lord Krishna has explained three kinds of austerities: austerity of body, austerity of speech, and austerity of mind. Austerity of mind, how it is explained, and serenity, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purity of thought are the austerities of the mind. These are the austerities of the mind. How Prabhupada explains them? To make the mind austere is to detach it from sense gratification. To make the mind austere. So, what is that austerity of mind? To detach it from sense gratification. So, one has to be very vigilant whether whatever I am doing is being done for sense gratification, or is it within the framework of the assigned and authorized service. It should be so trained that it can be always thinking of doing good for others. The mind should be so trained that it can always be thinking of doing good to others. But first condition is what? It should be devoid of sense gratification. Right? So our doing welfare to others cannot cross the limit or cannot cross the boundary of our spiritual discipline, right? Or authorized scope of authorized service. Then it goes into sense gratification. Then further, the best training of the mind is gravity in thought. One should not deviate from Krishna consciousness and must always avoid sense gratification. To purify one's nature is to become Krishna conscious. Right? Now, another striking statement. This entire purport, each statement is so striking, so hard hitting, and so powerful. Satisfaction of the mind can be obtained only by taking the mind away from the thoughts of sense enjoyment. The more we think of sense enjoyment, the more the mind becomes dissatisfied. This is a test for us, acid test for us. Right? Why am I dissatisfied? Whereas preaching service is very, enlivening. It is very joyful, right? The moment a devotee spreads message of Krishna to another person, he becomes very satisfied. Then why am I dissatisfied in my preaching? Why am I dissatisfied in my spiritual life, in my sadhana, in my service, in my ashram life or devotee life, devotional life? Right? The moment dissatisfaction comes means it is attached to some kind of sense gratification, and I am dwelling upon it. I am sitting on it, but contemplating on it. Right? So there may be desires for sense gratification. There may be desires for personal benefit, personal achievement of some goal or some enjoyment. Their desires are always there. The more we get attached, the more we get dissatisfied. The more we get attached, more there is demotivation or aversion to the things around. Right? So one has to be very vigilant. So our spiritual journey, mind should be trained to do good to others, but there is a very thick, very clear boundary drawn, and one has to be very, very vigilant, because sometimes the preaching service has some rasa of what? Imparting knowledge, feeling elevated, right? That yes, I am imparting knowledge, I am in an authoritative position. These things, like if not done in proper consciousness and within the framework of devotional service, give us mithya ahankar, false ego, right? False ego of being a good preacher, or false ego of doing welfare to others. One of the egos is that Suradam Sarvabhutanam. This is one of the false egos one a jiva has. Peace formula has three things. No, Supreme Lord is the Bhoktaram, enjoyer, controller, and well-wisher. So when we get into these things, Arjuna was thinking, I am the well-wisher of my grandfather and Guru. I am the well-wisher of everybody. That's why Arjuna was so anxious. Arjuna had that ego. When Krishna said, I am the well-wisher, not you. And my well-wishing is, they should be crushed between my teeth. That is well-wishing for them. Oh, then I should shoot arrow. Right? Exactly same way, when we take up a role of preacher, and when we think I am doing well, I am wishing well for them, and without me what will happen? Sometimes somebody will say, you hand out this contact to some other devotee. oh no, only I can preach that person. Only with me he'll get convinced. No, right? He's getting convinced because Paramatma is sitting in his heart. And Mukam Karoti Vachalam. Paramatma wants any person, any layman can also preach and make him listen. If Paramatma wants, Paramatma can speak to anybody, can get spoken through anybody and convert him. So it's our policy of getting attached to preaching particularly in a particular manner to a particular person in a particular way. So many attachments are there. So service means, devotional service means ready to be what is the spirit of a full-time missionary? One of the characteristics is ready to take up any service at any given point of time and ready to go to any center at any given point of time. Right? Then what are we attached to? If we are anytime you'll change my service, anytime you'll change my center, we are attached to Prabhupada and his instructions. If today instruction is do this and do it here, we do. If tomorrow instructions do that and do it there, we do. Right? So whole training is to get attached to the Vani of Guru. Our connection with Guru is through his Vani. Guru connects with us through his instructions. We connect with Guru through our seva. This is the relationship between disciple and spiritual master. Through his Vani, Guru connects with us. And through our service, we connect with Guru. So attachment to that Vani, to that instruction, this is life and soul of disciple. Exactly this is what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Maharaj says in Vyasatmika Buddhi. The order of the Guru is the life and soul of the disciple. So our compassion, our well-wishing for other living entities is what one of the trainings of the mind, that we should do good to others. But there are so many cautions, so many boundaries within which we have to do this preaching. Right? Otherwise we'll get carried away. So this is the caution. And Mother Devotee, she is inquiring, and Lord will further explain for the benefit of all living entities. So we'll stop here. Prabhupada ki jai.